Kyle here from allmediareviews.blogspot.com. Doing a video, maybe a couple of videos depending on time. Today I have today off. It's Tuesday, July 5th. That day I talked about a few different times. The biggest thing of the last week and change, I mentioned one cat. We got a second cat, which might have shot ourselves in the foot a little bit because the two cats are not getting along the best, although they're kind of starting to warm up to each other. I don't know. One cat is like 10 months to a year. That's the male one we got a little over a week ago, and then the other one we got last weekend's, I think it's about 5. So it's a female. Anyway, yeah, it's a pretty big adjustment, and it's not like Latte, because Latte was an outdoor cat that came in to eat and sleep, more or less, played sometimes, but that was the thing. These cats aren't going anywhere at this point. So anyway, the first thing I want to do is just talk a little bit about Stranger Things, the end of season 4, the 4.5. That I did make my way through that in fragments, like I've done with long movies like Cloud Atlas. And I mean, there's a lot to it, of course. This was a really good season. Yeah, I'll say it that it probably was the best season since season 1. And, you know, the scale of everything, the way they twisted it. I mean, it wasn't without flaw, because the way they kind of just separated everyone, and I don't know. I mean, like the group with Elle and then the other people, that I like the pizza humor, comic relief kind of thing. That guy Argyle. It was kind of convoluted, though. I mean, you know, okay, so they go to the pizza place and, you know, get her to summon up. They can't get back to Hawkins. The Hopper plot with Joyce getting there was convoluted to an extent. It worked well enough, but I think, like myself, like a lot of fans, I don't know if I really expected it to be basically the whole season for him there in that prison, that Hopper. They really didn't explain, though. We didn't get an explanation what happened to Yuri and the other guy after they got back, but from wherever they were. Was it Lithuania or some part of Soviet Union? They didn't really, you know, I mean, get into that. I don't know if they're going to bring them back. The one other point, they didn't follow up the second half anything about that Miss Kelly, the school psychologist. I think there's a chance they'll still bring her back, because I think there's a chance that she has a connection to Vecna, Henry 1, you know, so and, you know, stuff like Max. Of course, Max's character ends up having another confrontation to sort of bait Trojan horse, you know, Vecna, so they can get at him, and she's the bait or whatever. Yeah, I mean, they're going to bring her back. Obviously, they weren't going to kill her off because she's become sort of a fan favorite. This isn't, again, it's not Joss Whedon. This is Joss Whedon behind this thing. Any handful of characters that people loved, that were main focus characters, would probably be dead by now. But I don't know what her role is going to be in the 5th season. The 5th season is probably going to be 2 years from now, probably the summer of 2024. Based on the pattern, they've had seasons almost every summer. I think it's every summer. I think one season was in the fall. That's right, one season was in the fall. They wanted to have it around Halloween. I think it was season 2. But anyway, that whole thing with Lucas and I forget his name, the basketball guy, you know, the captain of the basketball team. And I guess he dies, but they didn't really. I don't know. I read an interview with the guy who played Eddie, Joseph Quinn. He mentioned how that character died too. So, I mean, Lucas won the sort of quarrel with them. You know, he had the motivation, you know, but I need confirmation about him being dead. I don't know. But then again, I also think that I remember seeing around late May, early June, an interview with Joseph Quinn, who plays Eddie, saying that he was planning on being back for season 5, yet, spoiler alert, he ends up going at the end of the season. Yeah, the Metallica Master Puppet thing was nice. I mean, it was a nice touch. I mean, it's sort of it was, I want to say it was predictable, but I mean, it worked. It worked. It worked. It's like bringing metal into the kind of landscape of, family entertainment to an extent, or the pop culture. And as well known as the title track to Master Puppets is, at least they didn't use something out of context in terms of time. Like they didn't use obviously the biggest known song, Enter Sandman, or something else. They didn't use one. I mean, it's understand. I mean, Master Puppets, the title track to that album, might be the best known song from that era. Although it's kind of splitting hairs, but I know some people that feel that that's the best song that Metallica ever did. I'm not a huge Metallica fan. I like them to a extent. I more respect them. A lot of friends that love them, but Master Puppets is the album I've listened to the most, largely because when Dream Theater covered it. But yeah, it worked. The super metal, it was metal. I think it was kind of silly to an extent though when he came back and they didn't really follow how the bat. There were other ways, and plus those shields they made with the garbage can covers, those steel garbage can. Well, those were cool. They worked. Why wouldn't you make more than two? Kind of like when Hopper was basically battling the final largest, like, Demidog or Demogorgon. He uses the sword, a whole symbolic thing with Will's painting and stuff like that. Kind of like Harry Potter. I thought of, was it Niles, or not Niles, Neville Longbottom. Neville ends up chopping up the snake, the sword, but why wouldn't you there's fire on the ground, the burning, they burn. Why wouldn't you just get some fire? The fire is the Demodogs, Demogorgon's weakness. I don't know. It's all symbolic and, So, but, yeah, I mean, it worked. It was, I'm not obsessed with Stranger Things, but I'll admit I've been sucked in, and I've always liked it. It's not my favorite show, but it lives up to a lot of the hype, unlike some shows that don't quite. Or we'll see. I mean, seeing the age of the kids and stuff like that, and they're gonna. I mean, Vecna's not really gone. He's gonna be. It's the parallels and the similarities. Some of the Harry Potter stuff is getting eerie almost to the point. I saw one suggestion that in order to actually defeat Vecna and to eliminate, resolve, clear up, basically end all problems with, and especially Vecna and 1 and the Upside Down, Eleven's going to have to sacrifice herself. So, yeah, gee, Harry Potter, even though Harry Potter from a time standpoint takes place at a later time in our whole understanding of history, but it's a different universe. Harry Potter, though, was written, obviously, long before Stranger Things ever was thought of. But, so that happens, don't be surprised. If it doesn't happen, we'll see. I wonder how they twist it in some other way. I was thinking during the first half of the season that the guy, the Vecna character was controlling and, the source of all the stuff with the Upside Down, and we find out Elle does put him in the Upside Down, and the Mind Flayer was season 3. Now I'm not sure they want to twist it that way, because then I kind of came to realize they were telling the origin of, and I believe that's what season 5 is largely going to be about, the origin of the Upside Down. Well, it'll be that and how they're going to basically, or the merging of the two dimensions or whatever, two sides, and then how they're going to fix that. I mean, it's not going to end probably as a post-apocalyptic world. But I don't know if, I mean, he got sent there. Is he sent to hell or something? It was already in a lot of sort of motion to basically be like a wasteland of, ash and fire and it's like a volcano. I'm just wondering if it's either some kind of collective energy, soul, spirit kind of thing that's kind of driving everything that's occurred there, and the original source of how the Upside Down came to be. Is it literally the creation of the Earth, or was it more recent than that? I think it's more recent than that. Or the creation of the universe. or is it him? Because I kind of think, or was it someone else or something else, and he basically came to control it? I mean, I don't know. I'm that's what normally always happens with me when I watch something, and I have a lot of thoughts and things I like about it, but then I always kind of think, what next? Why did this happen? Is there more to the story? I want to always know more to the story. I ask more questions and then actually think about the answers. But I kind of think that ultimately, I mean, Harry Potter, it was Voldemort, Tom Riddle per se, but it actually has more to do with it. I have not followed the sort of Fantastic Beasts. I saw the first movie, but the whole origins of that universe before Voldemort, Harry Potter, and his parents, and even Dumbledore. I kind of want to believe that there's more to. There's more to it. There's more to the background of how the universe, how the Upside Down came to be the way it was, and how to resolve it. It's not just one guy. This super evolved human, kind of like 11. But I don't know. We'll see. But it's going to be 2 years, and Stranger Things is a great thing to sort of, for a fortnight, for a few weeks, or in this case it was like 6 weeks. We had the first part and the second part. Maybe they'll do the same thing. I don't know. I don't know if they'll do like a 3-month thing where they give you a long break, or 6 months. I think they'll probably do it like, well, they'll have the first half and the second half, maybe the first half in the spring sometime, and the second half, early summer. Probably around this weekend in 2024. So probably about the time I'll be moving out of this place, maybe a little earlier. But yeah, I mean, it's satisfying. It was a great season. Kate Bush, of course, running up that hill. I'll probably be known as best for that as anything else. And how they're going to resolve it. I hope at least in the last season, then, the characters will be reunited, because it seemed like they separated a lot in season 3, and they separated so much more in season 4. I mean, the Will character has a thing behind his neck. You can sense, Vecna there. They should consider bringing back, I can't remember her name, 7 maybe? The girl, or 8? The girl that was in Chicago that Elle met in season 3, I think it was. I think it was season 3. It was season 2. One of the season where there was the one isolated episode where none of the story actually was in Hawkins. So, and then there's talk about the spinoff, and I read about that and pulled that up. But I'm wondering if they may do either a spinoff with some of the characters, like Dustin. Dustin would make the most sense if they would have him and the kids, or they do a spin-off with unless one of the more minor characters, or maybe set in the 90s. Like Stranger Things largely is about a bunch of things, sci-fi, but nostalgia for the 1980s, entertainment, movies, horror movies, sci-fi, music, television from the 80s. I wonder, because a lot of the audience were kids in the 90s, they might consider writing a spin-off that's set in the 90s. I don't know. Then maybe they go a spin-off and they do the origin of Brenner. Having him go is not a weird thing. I think they probably will still bring him back in some fashion in season 5. So, anyway, what's your take on season 5 or season 4 of Stranger Things? Did it live up to the hype? Is it still living up to the hype? The pizza, we did get the pizza from Frozen Pizza. I forget the name of it. Their pizza. I didn't get the pineapple flavor. I still have to get that, because I actually am one that does like pineapple pizza with ham. The Hawaiian pizza. But it's not bad. I wouldn't eat it regularly. It's a little overpriced. But yeah, it's all right. I've had worse frozen pizza for sure. I'm not someone who eats tons of frozen pizza, but I'm a pizza fan. I eat a lot of pizza, so... But anyway, thank you for watching. I'll do some more videos, and see you next time.